This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, it's certainly hard to believe that it is 2014, and there are amazing things happening for authors. There are trends coming up, and one of the great things, we used to always say that the two constants in life were death and taxes. Well, here's the third constant in life. The third constant in life is social media keeps changing. And I remember talking to one of our Author U members who attended the Author U extravaganza that's held the first week in May every year. And he said, there was so much that I heard that I didn't implement that I forgot. I thought, I don't know if I'm going to come this year. And I said, Gary, the good news is that it's changed. So if you didn't implement it, there's a whole new round of stuff coming along. So I thought this would be the ideal time. The first time that we are airing this is on January 2nd, that this would be the ideal time to kick off on some of the social media trends. What's working? What doesn't work? Where were the hiccups from the last year? What's morphing and transitioning in for the new year? And we're going to talk about some of the different genres and which way to go, as well as everything else in the social media trend. Joining me is Georgia McCabe, who you can find at georgiamccabe.com. Georgia's brilliant in not only the development of websites that really can tap dance and soar above the clouds for authors and book publishing, but also developing social media strategies and marketing plans. So, Georgia, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thanks, Judith. I'm looking forward to our Publishing at Sea coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, we forgot about it. Here, we have a Publishing at Sea cruise, sold out Publishing at Sea cruise leaving Tampa, Florida on the 18th for 5 incredibly intense days that will so morph people's lives on what they're doing if they're in process or those who have actually got books finished. And Georgia and I and Amy Collins and Joan Stewart are what we call ourselves the Chicks at Sea. And we're doing a fabulous conference. So looking forward to that. All right. So Georgia, it's 2014. If you were to sit down with your magic crystal ball with an author, and they say, what should I do in social media? What would you say?
I'll tell you, Judith, this year, I think what's going to happen is it's going to have to be the paid, earned, shared, and owned. What I mean by that is that more and more of these social sites, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Pinterest, Google+, everybody, they're all waking up now saying, you know what, freebies are over with, folks. Now's the time, in order to really take advantage of these networks, ante up and start paying. Now, that may scare some people off in terms of what it could cost. However, I'll be honest with you, it can be, fairly inexpensive, and you can, set a particular dollar amount that you want. So I think that's one thing that we're going to see in a lot of the people out there that are considered the leaders and shakers in the industry. That's what they're all saying. The second thing, I think, and I said this actually last year when I spoke in Denver, is that we really, really need to think about mobile. And when I say that, the one thing that I want to make sure that everybody has is mobile compatibility. And so we want to make sure that any content, any site that you're on, particularly your website, it translates well to mobile devices. And so you really, really want to make sure that you've taken advantage of that. And I'm not just saying mobile ready. I'm talking about what I call a responsive theme. So it automatically adjusts to the type of device you're on. More and more and more people are now actually, responding, viewing their Facebook pages, doing Pinterest pins, tweeting, whatever, all from their mobile devices as well. I think the other thing that will continue to be so important, and this is where anybody that's an author really has a higher advantage, is higher quality in terms of content. There's so much content out there that's competing for our attention. And what we need to do is find a way that the best will rise to the top. And so when I think about content, I don't want you to think just about writing an article. I want you to think about how you can use video. There's sites like Vine now coming up where you can do simple little videos. Think about Instagram, how you can use that for pictures. Think broadly, YouTube, whatever, how you can go across a variety of different types of medium and also make it very high quality. I think another thing that's really important is, think about being more creative. And when I say that, this year Facebook came out with a thing called Facebook Graph Search. And you have to use your personal profile to do that. But I started about a week ago with an author that's launching her book on January 7th, and she's got a big blog tour coming up. And when I started with her about a week ago, she literally had nothing really happening on Facebook. And the first thing that I did was I used Facebook Graph Search to find out what would be the interests of people that would be interested in women fiction. And I can even search that to the point where I can say, I want to see pages that they like when they have, a like woman's fiction. And by going through that, I can start to get into the hearts and minds of what those potential clients are that I want not only to buy my book, maybe people to review my book, maybe people to publish my book. And so I honestly believe that what I have been spending a lot of time, and I'm getting ready, I'm on an airplane tomorrow, I have to give a speech out at the Consumer Electronics Show. And that's my whole topic. My whole topic is, social media, many people think of it as just a bunch of tools. And it's really not. It's really just a form of communicating, finding your right audience, communicating, interacting with them, and providing them with the type of information that's important. And I'll tell you, these tools have so many powerful, Judith, ability to find out, what the interests are of those. I'm giving a boot camp actually on Pinterest. And, Pinterest has adopted these things which they now call rich pins. Mm-hmm. And again, what you have to do is understand how they work. Because again, not only from a branding standpoint, but also from the ability to really, get to the right targeted audience and to have your content easily available to pin. Because Pinterest, believe it or not, has more traffic sent to it from websites than YouTube, LinkedIn, and Google Plus combined. 10% of the people actually, if they will buy more from seeing something on Pinterest than they will on any of the other networks. And they'll spend 10% more. So it's a great way to be creative. Again, you can find very targeted audiences. You can search on just about any topic. So I think that those are some things. I also think podcasting, stuff like what you're doing here, I think that's going to be extremely powerful. I would say that one of the best people in podcasting is Mike Stelzner from the Social Media Examiner. And, he says it's going to grow substantially as more marketers begin to understand the value of reaching people, again, with a different type of content. This happens to be audio, and it can also be video. But a podcast listener averages 20 minutes per episode. 20 minutes, which about matches the average commute. So compare that to any other channel, and nothing matches it. So, think about, get creative and think how you can use that. So those are just some of them. I could go on and on and on, but I really want to make sure we address the ones that are going to be most important to our audience.
Well, I'll tell you, I think one of the things that popped, I mean, there's several things that popped that I don't think a lot of people know about the Facebook graph search, so you might want to probe into that a little bit. I think that would be a good idea. And I think that the idea, and maybe Georgia, when you are here at the extravaganza, you should be doing a workshop on the whole value of Pinterest, of what to do, and do a deep dive. If you're doing a workshop on that, why don't we transition that and tie it into the authors on how they use it? Because I think a lot of people, number one, do not realize that there is 10% who go there, buy more, and they are willing to spend 10% more. I have a feeling it has a great deal to do because they can visually see very quickly. And
Right.
they can take that next step before saying, oh my God, it's another link or it's another bunch of words in doing that. And I can say this, and I know that we have about 1 minute before our first break, but I think podcasting will continue to expand, because that with the new cars that are going to start rolling out, some are doing it this year. I think the great majority will be on board next year at the 215 model, which is going to be this year, because as you know, they all come out at the fall time. Is
Right.
that they all are going to have the capability of taking the podcast, they can take our show and you can listen to it now on your radio.
Wow.
In the car. And
Right.
that is going to be a huge, it'll be interesting to see what it does to the local commercial radio stations, where people are going to be all over the place,
Right. Right.
on those kind of things. And I think what's also important that where you talked about that they've got to ante up. And that they need to understand what that ante up means in that. Is it 50 cents? Is it $20? Or how do you control it? How do you gauge it? How do you go about and measure it? That's all really a concern. So when we come back, those are some of the things I want you to kind of noodle on. We've got a few minutes here to thank the people who bring us to everybody. And you're all listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. It is Happy 2014. With me is Georgia.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The free terminal has created a special program for Your Guide to Book Publishing listeners. No contract. All equipment is free. Extremely low rates and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The Free Terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both Author You and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no-contract Author You deal.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
One of the challenges that, as an author, of which I'm certainly got that cap on too, and I have a new book coming out next month, is that you try to figure out which way do you go, what do you use, what will maximize not only your bang for your buck if you're spending bucks, but certainly your time. And it does keep changing. And I think that the first thing that we all need to understand, and I know Georgia McCabe, who is our guest this hour, has to really make sure, it's one of the challenges we see with authors all the time when we ask them, who is their audience? And it is stunning to me that so many do not know. And they don't even know how to drill it down into it. And so I need to tell all of you who are listening in, you really need to be able to pretend you're writing at your computer or writing a paper, and you look up all of a sudden, who is sitting across from you? Who are you writing for? Because when you're really clear on that, then when you engage someone like Georgia to become part of your team, it makes their work easier. Would you agree with that, Georgia?
Oh my God, 100%. And I'll be honest with you, I found very few people that really even know where to begin to do that. And it's just so simple, believe it or not, So, I've got a couple of tips, and it's kind of hard to explain these, but, I'll give you a simple example. I have an author, she's got a book. If I said, I've read the book front to back, I absolutely love it. And so she says, I'm really going after people who like women's fiction. And I'm like, okay. And she was thinking the age group might be a little bit older. And so what I did was, and everybody can go ahead and even try this right now, is if you're in Facebook and you have to be on your personal, you have to be signed in as personal. I just went in and I said, I want to find women who like women's fiction. And all of a sudden, all of this pops up. It not only tells me who that person is and where they live, but it also tells me other things they like. So, for instance, as I go through this and I'm looking at what else these people like, I'm seeing things which I would assume I would see, like cooking, but I'm seeing other things. And as I dive down in, even doing further, so like there's a lot of people, believe it or not, who like the games. I can't stand the Facebook games. I hate them. But as I then did a search, I did a further search to say, okay, women who like women's fiction and are of the age, and I actually put an age range so that I could see the demographics of not only people who like that, not only what else they like, okay, but what age category they fall in. And it's just amazing and so what we do then next is after we find that is we write a little simple, friendly email. And I literally go in and I message these people and say, I've seen that you like women's fiction like I do. Here's a new author that's going to launch an awesome book. Tell them a little bit about it. We'd be honored if you would visit us on our Facebook page. And so what we then did was we said, okay, if these are things that people are really interested in, why don't we develop our blog calendar around that? Why don't we develop our Twitter strategy around that? Why don't we develop what we're going to pin around that? And so once you do that initially up front, it makes your whole life so much easier. And so anyways, Facebook graph search, it's very, very powerful.
Okay, so how do you, Georgia, how do you find the Facebook graph search? If I'm on my Facebook page.
So you got to be signed in as your personal. You have to be on your personal account, not a business account.
Okay, so no fan pages. All right, so personal account, okay.
All right, and so just at the top, Judith, right next to that little F where that big white bar, just go and type in women who like women's fiction.
Great, all right. So then, and then you can send to each one of those persons, or can you do it as a mass email message?
You got to be really careful to do that. There is a tool that I just found, Judith, that's, oh my God, it's a dream. And what it does is it allows you to search based on not only different keywords and stuff like that, but you can actually even search groups. And groups are very powerful these days. And even a closed group. And it will actually give you all the email addresses. And then when you have your own Facebook business page, you're allowed to send a maximum of 5,000 emails. Now, you never want to do that all at once. In fact, I would suggest do it in chunks. I mean, if you want to take go at like 250 or 500, you could send the same email to them, but it is a little bit of a copy paste. But you know what? Get on Fiverr, get on Odesk, find someone, give them good directions, and they can get that done for you in no time at no cost. But it has to be very careful. But it's a really powerful tool, really, really powerful tool. So, that's one thing. You can also go ahead and you can search so for instance, women who like women's fiction, I could also search, groups about women's fiction.
Now, is but that's all on Facebook, correct? We're just in the Facebook right now. Got it.
Right. So, it's just absolutely incredible. So you go here, I'm just did groups about, and I can see women's fiction, chick lit girls. Let's go through and find one that's really big. In fact, I found one last night that had like 8,000 members. And so, again, you go in there and you can even I could do a search on, let's say, a competitor. So let's say one of the people, Jennifer Weiner, okay? So a lot of people, I want to see fans of Jennifer Weiner. I go there, and now I can see all the fans. And she has 86,000. I can then even say, okay, well, you know what? I only want to search women. Or, what else can I search on? You can search on friendship. You can search on school. You can search on employer. Likes and interests. So I could say fans of Jennifer Weiner, and maybe apps they use or, where they live. It's just absolutely amazing the amount of search capability that you have. And so what happens when I do that with fans of Jennifer Weiner, what came up for me was, you know what? Oh my gosh, all these people that are my friends, Mary Petto, Jan Schur, Cindy Earle. So what I did was, I had probably, 5 pages of people that are actually, like my page. And you can even do that. Fans of Jennifer Weiner, who also like Georgia McCabe. And so what I did was I just reached out to them. Said, hey, this is a new client of mine. I'd love if you would, take a look at her Facebook page. I also, one of the other tools, and then we'll jump into something else, is really start to identify who those movers and shakers are. So in the case of Jennifer Weiner, she's very active on Facebook. And I make sure, like last night, she said, wishing everyone a wonderful, safe New Year's Eve. And so I made sure that I went in and actually commented on that page. There's another site called Tuscanylicious, because her book is centered around Tuscany. So I found, I could say fans of, pages that are about Tuscany. And then I go in there, I search. So I do about 5 of those a day. That's one of the things. And on Twitter, you're the Twitter, you've mastered Twitter, like a rock star. Again, Twitter, it really depends on who you're trying to go after. And so I'm a big fan of really doing the proper research and with hashtags. Your hashtag meaning a certain topic. So you want to see if there's a lot of buzz. But on Twitter, I've been able to connect for her. Oh my gosh, like there's a huge New York site that specializes in wines. And if I look at Gail's background, she used to, write articles about wine and stuff like that. Well, we started engaging with them. And that's the magic. It's engaging. It's not just pushing stuff out there. Okay? That's not what it's about. There's another tool that I am absolutely in love with, because I know a lot of people are afraid that, I just don't have time to come up with these cool ideas. And so there's a product called Post Planner, POSTPLANNER. And what it allows you to do, which is so cool, is it's a scheduling tool, but it's also gives you ideas.
Okay,
so
you know what, Georgia, hold that, and let's come back to the post and give it to them again. We need to take another quick break, and then we can get...
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing, Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title Untitled, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
So with me this hour is Georgia McCain. We're talking about social media. And some of the things we've been looking at Facebook, and she shared the new graph search, Facebook's graph search, that you have to access your personal page, not your fan or business pages. But it allows you to do a deep dive into your specific expertise, the topic area where you're looking for like people, like interest, and you can reach out in a much more extensive and thorough way to find these people to come and like your pages. And this is really critical when it comes to marketing, and whether you're keeping the juice going on a book that's been out there for a while, or you're getting ready to kickstart a new one. It's a great tool, as she's talked about. And as we went to the break, she was revealing a new player out here called Post Planner, and I wanted her to come back and actually reintroduce that so people can get an idea, because it's different from Hootsuite or social media or social oomph. It's a different bell and whistle feature. So, and Georgia, if you will, there's a free version and a paid version. Let's just get into how we would use that.
Okay, so once you've identified who your target audience is and what their likes and interests are, then what you want to do is come up with an editorial plan of, basically what are the things that you can post about, tweet about, pin about, etc. And you want to do that in a way. So yes, in the beginning, it might take some time to do that strategy up front, but in the long run, it saves so much time. So Post Planner is an app. There's a free version and there's a paid version. I have the paid version. I think I pay $19 a month. Well worth it for the amount of time it saves me. And what it does is I call it the idea factory. So when you go in there, it allows you to say, oh, okay, well, what kind of status ideas can I come up with? So you say, okay, I want to ask questions. Everybody knows that questions are a big deal, okay, on Facebook, because when you do that, people tend to, respond. And so again, depending on, what your book is about or whatever, you can go in there and it'll actually give you ideas of what you can ask a question about. So, I'm just going to throw one up just for the heck of it. I'm not saying it would, apply to Gail, but, what are your favorite tips to get a good night's sleep? Mm-hmm. And so you ask that. Maybe one is, what's the worst movie you ever saw? So if you see, people who really like movies or whatever, but anyways, it goes on and on. I had a client that, their whole industry was all about scents. They made a number of different fragrances and candles. And, one of the things that pop up right here is, what is your favorite candle scent? So what it does is it gives you idea. Now, in addition to questions, it gives you ideas for, like, let's say, trivia. Trivia is another thing. In fact, I did one today on Gail's Facebook page where I asked them to identify this famous heiress. And I had a bunch of questions. And I'm hoping people will guess. And then tomorrow I'll go in and, say, yep, you were right or you were wrong. But like trivia, did you know that an ant can lift 50 times its own weight? On average, a human will spend up to 2 weeks kissing in his or her lifetime. So it gives you, again, but what you can do is based on what you set up in your profile, it will give you things that are more related to your fans. So for me, I get a lot of trivia questions around social media. You can go into deep thoughts. That's another thing. Like, resolve to perform what you ought, perform without fall what you resolve. That's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. So instead of going on the internet and trying to find it, I can go there. The other thing it has a content engine. And so what you do is you add in your keywords. And so I've set up keywords. Well, around the holidays, I wanted to see what was trending for Christmas Day, what's trending for Italian cooking, what's trending for women's fiction, what's trending for travel to Italy, And so what it'll do is it'll come up and it'll show you the latest posts, and it'll actually give you some ideas of how popular that's been. So I found one that I scheduled for tomorrow, and it's a little bit different. I'm testing something out, but in this case, this one actually is about because I'm trying to target. I'm finding that moms, a lot of the age group, the people that really like women's fiction are like younger moms, and so I put a picture up, and I actually use this for Pinterest as well, about a mom that took bubbles, the bubbles that you get in a little bottle and you blow, and they took pictures of what that does and how it displays and then how it breaks apart. And, so it's really, when social media, the rule is 80-20. You want to be providing information, engaging people, and only 20% of the time, selling your stuff. So I always very subtly try to go in and I'll find great content, questions, trivia like we talked about. And then what I'll subtly do is tie in a hook to, like there was one today that I put up for her, which is it's an article about how reading has been proven to be therapeutic for women that have medical illnesses. And, so I tied a little, are you a woman that loves to read? If you are, suffering from depression or whatever, I can't remember what I wrote. I would be honored if you check out my debut novel that's coming out on Amazon. Mm-hmm. So that's a very subtle way without saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. So, it's called Post Planner. It's outstanding. The other thing that I do want to mention is, and this is a whole webinar unto itself, is that don't be afraid to try some of the forms of what we'll call paid advertising. And there's a real trick to doing it. But the cool thing about it is, let's just say you want to try it, and try it for just a couple days. Put a limit. Say, I don't want to spend any more than $5 a day. And see what happens. Look at your insights to see, are you finding that more people are seeing your stuff? Guess what? They are, because that's what Facebook likes. So that's with Facebook, with Twitter, there's some new things coming out called Twitter cards. I haven't played with that much. I primarily use Twitter to really interact with movers and shakers that can help me spread the word about something. And so there's a different strategy that might go into that. But you know what? Those movers and shakers are people that can help influence my brand. That's one of my demographics that I'm going after. So what do? I make sure I connect with them. We have some people may be doing a blog tour. And what, I will do on Twitter and on all social sites is, oh gosh, I forgot. We have an upcoming blog tour coming up. And I think, I want to say maybe 8 or 9 days worth. First thing I did, Judith, was I found all those bloggers and I made a spreadsheet so I could see what sites they're on. And it was interesting because the reviewers who are going to review the book, they're going to write an article. Some were on Google+, some were on Pinterest, some were on Facebook, but it really varied. It wasn't like they were all on the same platform. But what I did was I made sure way before the blog tour is going out that, as an author, we're out there saying, hi, thank you, I'm so excited, because I want that person to help promote me, obviously, not just write the blog article, but help get that word out. And then I started following them. I started following their pin boards. I started following their tweets. I put them in a special list. A lot of this may scare people. I live and breathe social media, but, I think if I had to go back to anything and say, well, where do you start? I would say you start with finding that audience. So the best thing you can do is use these tools, understand how you can use them from a research standpoint, all 4 of them. And I'll stick with it: Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Google+. Once you find that, then start to develop those lists, those groups of people, and then start understanding what their interests are and develop that content plan and develop it in such a way that it encompasses a variety of different media. Don't just think about an article you're going to write. Believe it or not, Judith, authors, people love to know about their life. What are they doing? Okay. So, some people say, I don't want to know about a cat rolling over. Well, what I'm finding with authors, people love to know. I mean, Jennifer Wein has done a beautiful job of this. The woman who wrote to Under the Tuscan Sun, same thing. People just love to see that other kind of personal side of things. So, I encourage people to really, really think about that.
So you're saying that it's a good idea to reveal a little bit, whether are we doing everything is wonderful and rosy, or are we doing it, you're a foodie and these are your favorite dishes? What kind of things are safe to reveal?
Yeah, so let me give you an example. And this just occurred. I was just, okay. Here. Okay. So on Thursday, we had a new blog post that went up. It was written, and it was called "Celebrate New Year's with Lucky Foods." And then what we did was we followed up with here are some luck foods my husband and I have shared last night today, based on, and then the article, which was about lucky foods.
Okay.
So, okay, that's one idea.
All right, so let's come back with other ideas. We have one more break coming up. With me is Georgia McCabe. We're talking about social media strategies using some of the new tools.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The free terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract. All equipment is free. Extremely low rates and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The free terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both author you and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no contract author you deal.
Shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at MyBookShepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
We're in our final segment here, social media. And one of the things that Georgia mentioned off the air, Georgia McCabe is my guest on your guide to book publishing today. And one of the things she mentioned is that when she really has something that she would like to have a goose from, a push, and mentions that she will reach out to the mover and shakers that she follows. And are these people you know personally, or you just know that they're players and you follow them? And
yeah, what happened was, like, I'll give you an example. I started doing this several years ago, and there was a gentleman that he was a high-end photographer. He was located out of Austin, Texas, and he dominated the category, which in the photography industry is called TOGS, T-O-G-S. Mm-hmm. And his stuff, I mean, he amazed me how he would come up with content, and it was mostly other people's, not his own. I don't even think he had a website. But he was so good at really understanding, what people wanted to hear. And he used tweet polls to ask questions and stuff like that. Well, anyways, I just started retweeting them and mentioning them. I'll use a technique where I won't just hit the retweet button. I'll say, via at PhotoJack. I absolutely love the content you're posting. And a good person that's on that will always acknowledge you back and say thank you and blah, blah, blah. So he started to see that, I was one of his raving fans. And so one day I came out with an article, and it was all about what I call mamarazzis. It's a big thing in the photo industry where people can now buy a digital camera. And there's a lot of women that, are starting their photography career because they like to take pictures. So I wrote this article, and I said to him, can you take a look at it for me and tell me what you think? Mm-hmm. And he sent it out. He said, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And he tweeted it out. And, boom, all of a sudden I became, Jack was like, I was tweeting him, he's tweeting me. Trevor Current. Trevor runs one of the most successful photography websites. He had Current Photographer. I did the same with him. What that led to was I was a guest author on his website. But more importantly, what it led to is we work together now. And I've only met Trevor once, and it was 2 years after I had, started talking to him. So, that's what this is all about. It's that social get together, engagement. It's very powerful. I think, Google Plus, Judith, I think I like that more from a community standpoint. I find that the Google Plus communities have some really good information, but some of these people, it's like a high-end social club. I mean, oh my God, they got rules, what you can say, what you can't say, what you can do, what you can't do. And so you got to be real careful, because sometimes people will ban you if they think you're self-promoting yourself. And then, to sum it up, I'm in love with Pinterest. And, Pinterest is just what it is. It's a visual pin board where you're pinning things that you think are of interest. And for the people who can learn, I've got a great I'm so excited about this boot camp I'm doing next week. But if people know just a couple of little simple tricks of the trade of how to organize their boards from a search engine optimization standpoint, Pinterest is so powerful, because all those boards are public unless you set it up as a private.
Well, so you mentioned if they know a few tips. So what would be a couple of tips for reorganization for Pinterest?
The first thing I think people need to do is make sure that their website is what I'll call pinnable ready. And so what that means is there's a couple of, if they go to their web designer, every web designer should make sure there's a social plug-in there so that when someone looks at, an image, that people can pin it right from there. Mm-hmm. Let me give you an example. If I had you go on Pinterest, and here's another trick. If you want to see if anything is being pinned from your website, you type in pinterest.com/source, SOURCE, / your website name. So we would do author.com, whatever, judithbrowse.com or whatever. Right. That will then show you all the pins that have been pinned from your website. Now, why is this important? First of all, people on Pinterest are much more likely to click once they see a board or they see something. They're much more likely to immediately click on that picture and go to the website. And as I said before, they're probably 10% more likely to buy, and they spend on average 10% more. 80% of pins are repinned. 80% of pins are repinned. So again, what you got to do is get into the hearts and minds of your audience, and you want to make it easy so that when people are on your website or vice versa, that they're getting to where they need to. So if you did what I just showed you, or you went to pinterest.com/source/Starbucks, mm-hmm. You're going to see all the pins that came off the Starbucks page. If you click on one of them, you're going to get what that product is. You're going to get the price. You're going to get the calories, okay, because they're using this new concept called rich pins. But the images come up in the pin board versus if you did Coffee Emporium and you search them, the only thing that comes up from Coffee Emporium is logos. Well, logos aren't interesting, So you want to make sure that when you create your board, you want to, again, go back to what I said. Think about, just searching. You can even search on Pinterest. I mean, you can search on anything on Pinterest. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to see is based on those keywords, what are people interested in? So let me give you an example. I'm teaching at Consumer Electronics Show. There's a lot of photography people there. But my audience is made up of people that sell B2B. I have people that do high school photography to portrait photography to camera stores, you name it. So I can go in there and I can say there's an online site. You guys have all heard of Shutterfly. But I can go in and I can say creative photo gifts. And up will pop pins that show what people like. And oh my God, there's like planters now that are made with photos. I mean, but then what you do is you look at that and you go, oh my God, that pin was, someone repinned that. People repinned that like 200 times. That's a hot product. I should start thinking about that. So, I mean, you could just get, or, I was telling someone for me in social media, let's say I want to focus on branding. What can I do to help my clients with branding or even my own brand? And believe it or not, I can actually go in there and I can search on the topic brand, and that will give me inspiration and ideas, and I'll see what resonates with people. And so, it's the old days of taking a survey or doing a focus group. Now that's online, and we just have to apply those tools. And
right, again, so here's my aha that we're at 2 minutes to go here, but here's my aha, Georgia, that I've mastered Twitter. I'm not so worried about that, and I was sharing with you. Vine's supposed to be the hot thing. I was just running through all my streams. I don't see it floating around in there, so maybe my crew's not watching it or using it, but it'll be interesting to do, and maybe someone should, so maybe I need to figure out to play around with it. But the other thing is that what you got my attention was your quote you gave me about Pinterest, where 10% buy more and they tend to spend $10 more. That if you have a book for sale or a product for sale or a spin-off for sale or anything like that, a service for sale that could come from your expertise as a book, as an author, that Pinterest, you are doing yourself a huge disservice by not really getting in there and re-looking at these boards that you have, if you've got them, to see, do they make sense? Maybe you need to dump some of them, that they are pulling away from what your message is.
Absolutely.
So,
Judith, when, again, think about it from an SEO standpoint and driving traffic back to your website, what you want to make sure is that boards, you don't want to have something, let's just say cooking, recipes I like. Baloney. Let's get a little bit more narrow. So let's say, gluten-free.
Exactly.
So get niche,
Yes. So I'm going to take my next book, my Snappy, Sassy, Salty book. I have created, in our last minute, I've created over 200 book posters out of all those quotations. Wow. So they are laid out in 6 areas, from writing juicy to marketing moxie. They would be ideal for their own separate boards. My mind is thinking this way.
That's right. That's right. But I want you to be careful about the cutesy names. Although they're great, you want to think, would anybody search on, that? So you can still have that in the description.
Yes, in the description. I get that. And that's where you take that from. All right. We're going to wrap up here, thanking Georgia McCabe for being with us. We'll need to bring her back. She will be at the Extravaganza May 1 to 3. I recommend you go to the website, authoru.org, and get signed up and take advantage of the discounts that are going to end in a month. I'm Judith Briles. Thank you, Georgia, for being with us.
A part of your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.